we just kind of want to begin to look at love in a different way than what we normally have looked at love before. Let me get here. So, first thing that Ernest has is his definition of the word love. This comes from his New Thought Dictionary that he created to define all of these wonderful terms that he has. And he calls it the outpouring of spirit, the givingness of life. It is the great transforming power which brings everything into harmony. It is the unifying principle, the creative element, the motivating power of all that is fine and noble in life. I love that phrase. In metaphysical treatment, it is the healing force. It is what does the work. It is the power behind the words that we use. It is the power behind the thoughts that we have around things. The more we can begin to embody that feeling of love, then the more we can get a creative force going on within us that brings about transformation and healing that we sometimes are looking for in our lives. Ernest's first definition of healing, though, came from the Science of Mind textbook, of love, comes from the Science of Mind textbook, and he says that love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. There are very few instances where Ernest talks about love when he's not talking about creation. And the power of creation is a power of love. You know, I've, over the last decade or so, have discovered the power of being creative in my life. And as I sit with this idea of spirit being creative, and I equate it to the feeling that I have when I'm being creative. So when I'm being creative, now, it's a lot different than it was when I was being creative in my younger years when I had not quieted that inner critic that wanted to judge everything that I had done. Now when I create, I absolutely get tickled. I get tickled by what I've created. I can be at the wheel throwing a pot, covered with mud from one end of my body to the next. Trust me that I am a messy potter. But when that piece feels like it's finished, or even as it's taking shape, there is an energy bubbling up inside of me. There is a delight that is happening. And when I am finished with it and I'm taking it off the wheel and I'm putting it on the mat to dry, I am absolutely tickled by what I've created there, by what has come through me. When I sit down to draw mandalas, the same thing. I don't ever sit down anymore with a preconceived idea of what I'm going to draw, whatever's going to come out of my mind, out of my soul, whatever part of me that is coming through, because it's not an intellectual thing at all. And I put pen to paper. And sometimes I have an idea that I'm going to draw lines in a certain way, and one of them goes the wrong way. Now, my old inner critic a decade ago would have said awful things, who just would have said awful things to me. Nowadays, I look at that doing the line a little differently than what I had envisioned or what I thought was going to come out as an opportunity for me to create something new. This is just an opportunity to change it, shift it around, make it be something different. There is this delight in me when that piece becomes finished and I look at it. It took me a long time to get to that place of feeling that creative energy. But when I think about creation and love and spirit in conjunction with that, I have this image of, well, as I said yesterday to the people as I was building altars, I love fat, happy Buddhas. They are like one of my biggest delights. I have a whole series of them on my shelf. I love the look on the face, the joy that is coming out of these characters in there. So to me, when I think of spirit, and I think of spirit creating, it's a fat, happy Buddha. But it's a gender non-inclusive fat, happy Buddha. I can't tell whether it is. I'm not worried about whether it's male or female there. It is just this character that is just so filled with life. And as it makes a creation over here, it giggles. And as it makes another creation over here, it just delights in it. And it is just this spontaneous feeling of love and joy and possibility that is happening through all of creation. That is the love of spirit. It has so much energy and so much joy and so much passion in it that it can do nothing else but create more and more and more. And look out here in this audience at all of the wonderful, diverse forms of creation that Spirit has brought forth for us to experience. Look out in the world and see all of the wonderful things. Look at the delight that we see in young creation, children when they are experiencing the world around them, and the joy that is just coming out of their faces. It is contagious, it is palpable, and it is that presence of love. It is that power of love that is the power of creation that has brought forth everything into existence. Ernest says, love is the sole impulse for creation, and the one who does not have love as the greatest incentive of their life has never developed a real creative instinct. Love is necessary for creation. We have that inner critic. All of us have one. And some of them speak a lot louder than others. And some of us have learned over the years the practices that we do to help us quiet that inner critic. Put it in its place and allow it to do the work it needs to do for us to keep us moving through the world, but not letting it take control, not letting it have its own reign on things. I love the way Elizabeth Gilbert talks about this. She talks about it as fear. And she says that creativity and her are going on a road trip, and fear is coming along. But it has to sit in the back seat. It has to be quiet. It cannot touch the radio. It cannot control the snacks. And it cannot give its opinion about anything. Big Magic, it's a fabulous book, Elizabeth Gilbert's, where she talks about how to actually quiet that inner voice that wants to keep us still, keep us steady in everything. So this idea of love as being this creative, dynamic force that is within us has really been something that has allowed me to feel a greater sense of love in my life. But sometimes I get these quotes from Ernest, like this one here. I like the first part of it. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on the earth. It is the very reason for our being. And that explains why it is that people should have something or someone to love. A life that has not loved has not lived. It's still dead. When I read that last sentence of that, it kind of ticks me off. How does it feel to you guys? Because what I do in the past especially is I equate that love to a romantic love. I think I don't have a romantic partner in my life right now, so I'm not being loved. I'm not being able to express love. But that is such a minute part of love. And it's taken me a long time to get to that understanding, because society that we live in pretty much equates love with having a partner, having someone else in your life. And that is so not true. There are so many ways that we experience love. I experience love standing up here doing what I'm doing. I experienced love on Saturday when I brought all my altar goodies in. There's a lot more at home, by the way. When I brought all that in and I got to play with clay with some people that I thought were wonderful people. That's love. This morning I had love all over me. This is me preparing for my talk this morning. These are my puppies, Molly and Mac. Mac is the one that's closest to Molly, is the gray and black one on the other side there. They were all over me, and how could I not be experiencing love having these two wonderful beings in my life? What a joy they bring to me. What a way they uplift me. You wouldn't tell it by my face there, but but I was trying to take a picture with my computer and hold them and not let them fall and keep them asleep. So I did a pretty good job with that part. I just didn't smile at the time. But as I said, that's part of my love. You know, the love of being able to be creative, the love of being able to be in community, to experience community in the ways that we experience community here are so phenomenal, and they are so filled with love. And there's so much of that love for us to share and pour out into other people around us. Ernest goes on to say, if one makes themselves receptive to the idea of love, they become lovable. The more we begin to embody love, the more lovable we are. It's a really attractive quality. To the degree that we embody love, we are loved. So people who love are loved. If we feel love in some way, my puppies, my community, my work that I do, if I feel that love, That love is contagious. Other people see it and they say, I want what she's having. Because it's a palpable energy. It is a creative energy, and it is moving through us all the time. It is what has brought us into this existence. And it's what is maintaining and sustaining us, that dynamic power of creative love. Usually in the mornings when I'm prepping for service on Sunday, I avoid my email, but I needed to check on something this morning that was timely. And so when I opened up my email, I came across a daily email that I get from Richard Rohr. Richard Rohr is a Franciscan priest out of New Mexico. He runs a place called the Center for Action and Contemplation. And this is what was in his he calls them meditations this morning. He says, now it says Christianity in here, but you could insert any religion in the world in this. He says, as long as we remain in a dualistic win-lose script, Christianity will continue to appeal to the self-interested moralisms and myths. It will never rise to the mystical banquet that Jesus offers us. And again, you can insert any spiritual leader into that. The spiritual path and life itself will be more of a duty instead of a delight. More of a duty instead of a delight. As long as we have a sense that is God outside of us, that old guy sitting up on the throne in the heavens, as Joel Goldsmith calls it, the Super Santa Claus God. He's making a list and checking it twice. If you're naughty, oh well. If you're nice, yeah, you might get something better. As long as we believe in that kind of a God, in that dualistic sense of creation, of the way that the world works, then we will never get to that place of mystical consciousness. And mystical consciousness is where the love is. That's where the power of love is. It resides in that sense of being one with Spirit, being one. It is what the devotional attitude that Jesus had to what he called Father, the Spirit as he knew it. That sense of love was so palpable that it healed the sick, that it cured the blind, that the lame could walk by just being in his presence, because the presence of love was so strong within him. The presence of creating possibilities that were different than the experiences the people were having right then was a powerful force. It attracted people to him like crazy. 5,000 people at the Sermon of the Mount listening to him, waiting to be fed on 3 fish and 2 loaves of bread. And he fed them all because the power of love allowed him to create. That same power of love is in us. It is working through us all of the time. The article from Richard Rohr goes on to say, we must honor the infinite mystery of our own life's journey to recognize God in it. Or is it the other way around? It seems that God is not going to let us get close unless we bring all of ourselves in love, including our brokenness. How many of you love your brokenness? Yeah. I have a hard time loving some of my brokenness. Some of the words that I use about brokenness show how hard a time I have it. One of the things that's very visible is my weight. And how do I talk about it? I have a struggle with my weight. I've battled it for years. Is there any love in that? Not a bit. I haven't quite got around to where I can embrace it in love, but I think once I do, the problem will be solved. It's just a matter of how much I can love my brokenness. There are parts of my brokenness that I love dearly. As I said, I've gotten that inner critic quieted pretty well when it comes to what I'm creating, what I'm able to produce. There are other areas of my life where the brokenness kind of shows up a little bit here and there. And I'm sure we all have different things. It's what is been told to us over the years from the family of our origin, from the people that are around us. Things that we've internalized as being not right with us. things that we would wish were different, things we wish we could fix, but haven't yet figured out a way to do it. I think Richard Rohr's gone right on the point here with this idea of we won't know true connection with Spirit until we can love all of ourselves. And I think that's our job, that's our task in life, is to find those things that are not exactly the way we want them and begin to work on those. One of the ways that we do that is through our contemplation and our prayer work. So let's do a little contemplation now. You know me, I like to do the practices. Spirituality without practice is just lip service. All right, so if you will, just taking a nice deep breath. It helps me to close my eyes to do this, so if you want to do that, please go ahead. You're perfectly safe where you're at, and nobody's going to come up and grab you from behind or anything, even if you ask them to. And so just begin to scan your life. And just take notice of the things that come to mind that you might call your brokenness. The things about your life, about your being, about your body, about your home, about your relationships, anything that comes up that you feel you would like to have it be a little different than it is. You may have many things coming up, but just settle on one of them. It doesn't have to be the biggest or the worst. Just whatever comes to your mind at this moment. And now as you keep that in your mind, I want you to bring your awareness to your heart center. I like to think of that as the place right behind my sternum. Or if I put my hands on my chest, that's my heart center. There's a lot going on in there, the heart beating, the lungs moving, lots of blood vessels working. There's a lot of energy in our heart center. And now as this brokenness stays in the back of your awareness, just begin to visualize a warm, golden light pulsating in the center of your heart. And watch it grow bigger with each beat. As it pulsates, it expands. Just feel it warming your body, your chest cavity, moving up your shoulders and over your back, down into your torso, moving on down into your extremities, your arms and legs. Just feel that warm golden light, like a river of gold flowing through your body. Know that this golden light is a healing light. It is the power of creativity. And it has the means to overcome anything. And just allow it to wash through you. Tapping into any of those areas that feel like they are part of that brokenness. If it's within your body, let it spread out into every cell. If it's within your home environment, just visualize it moving like lava over your entire home. Bathing it in that warm, golden light of possibility. If it's in relationships, imagine it covering all of the people involved in that with that same healing light of creativity, of love. And just take a moment and rest in that feeling of being swaddled and bathed by this light of the divine. So now remembering this feeling as we come back into our time and our space. And just begin to become aware of the seat beneath you and the people around you. Just taking a nice deep breath. And return your full awareness to this room. In the arms which are all-inclusive, divine love encompasses everything. Healing this brokenness is not a one-time thing. It's a practice. And practice takes repetition. So whenever these ideas of brokenness or discomfort with something or wishing that something was different than what it was comes over you, take a moment. Close your eyes, go to your heart center, see that golden light, feel it wash over everything. Allow you to become centered back in the moment, remembering the spiritual truth. And after a while, you won't have to do it as much. It is a practice. It is a process. And it is greatly enhanced by one of our most magnificent practices, spiritual mind treatment. So I invite our practitioners to stand and surround the sanctuary, holding us in consciousness, in love, in truth at all times. These beloved souls spend many, many years studying, practicing, and learning truth. And they are here in service for our community at all times. And so if you would with me, just simply turn within. Again, I do that by taking a breath and closing my eyes. And so right here and right now, I know that there is only one thing happening, and that is the power and the presence of love. It is that perfect, creative, dynamic force that has brought everything into existence. It is the force behind that thing we call spirit. For spirit and love are synonymous. Synonymous. They're the same. Only one. There is no dualism. There is no separation. There is nothing outside of this one intelligent, creative force that has brought forth everything into existence. That was there in the beginning with nothing else. And from its own energy, through its own essence, this thing began to create. And it brought forth a multitude of creations. The variety, the complexity, the number of things that Spirit has created is endless. Everything is a product of that one, made through that dynamic force of love. And because I know there's only one, I know that I am one with it. I know that that creative love intelligence resides right at the very heart of my being. It is the truth of who I am. I am living its life right here and right now. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for each and every one of us. For we are all that expression of love intelligence moving forth into the world right here and right now. And because I know that this is true, I speak my word. I speak a word knowing that love is that dynamic force that is moving everything into possibility. I know that love is that creation, that desire to produce something that has never been before. I know that love is a force for good in the world, that the arms of the divine encompass the entire world with its love. We feel the heartbeat of the divine on every breath that we take. We see the face of the divine in every person we meet. For nothing exists outside of this one. And how good it is to know this, how good it is to feel it and see it in action. And I just give great thanks for this. And I release this word into that law, that part of the love that always says yes. I let it go and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.